You know, a region of champions. Mindfreak in blue, Eros in orange, and we are underway.
And it's going to be really interesting. Obviously, we haven't even thought about predictions yet, and it's going to be tough because looking at these teams, we've kind of hinted to the fact that they are very similar, and it's going to be who puts it together on the day. I guess if I had to choose a prediction today, I think I might be leaning towards Mindfreak just because they are a bit of a more known name in the OCE region.
See, I intentionally avoided predictions for this one because it's going to be a tough one to pick as Cabo thought he had that open net right there. It was a bit of a tough setup due to the defense in his way, but by getting to that ball first, he should have been able to hit that in. Perhaps a little bit of major nerve. Zayd doesn't feel those, though, as the first goal goes in favor of Mindfreak.
And that's going to be a great nerve settler for Zayd, especially because, you know, this is going to be one of the first times he's representing Mindfreak in a major. So getting that goal there will definitely calm his nerves, but it'll also keep him on his toes.
Yeah, it's a good way to open things up. It was a nice quick counterattack out of this Mindfreak side, something which gave them a lot of success back during the fall major when they went on that semi-miraculous one that actually won them the event. Now, as you can see, they're off to a hot start today, keeping two defenders back, Zayd and Ben, for the time being. Since the change-up, Requiem has been playing a lot further of a role without the lack of Fever, who is always so good at taking defensive situations and going to slowing down the pace, playing along the corridors, and creating that offensive pressure. Requiem has sort of had to fill that gap recently, so for those of you who might have been familiar with Mindfreak in the past, you'll notice Requiem will be playing a lot further up at times, although in this attack, it was Zayd's turn. Three defenders back, waiting, though. A lot of space given to Mindfreak by Eros.
Yeah, it's a bit unusual. Normally we see Eros be quite aggressive, but I think with that initial push, they were quite aggressive, and then the counterattack came through and they got scored on. So I think they're really reevaluating quickly and adjusting to the passiveness of Mindfreak.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. I mean, each team just giving each other a lot of space, it feels. They're wanting to sort of wait for their opponents to come to them, and that makes sense because of the mechanical abilities that can be on prowess. Cabo trying to show off a little bit with that dribble play right there. Couldn't quite get the ball low enough. Mock goes for a bump from behind on Ben. That means Requiem will step forward, looking for Zayd, who's cheated up the field. Cabo pass back over to Mock. Ball's going to fall down right into the waiting arms of Caveman Ben. Now we're starting to see Mindfreak play a little bit more aggressive, and well, they nearly get punished for it. Requiem, third man, does have to force it off. The backward shot comes from Mock. Sprat follows it up, and we got ourselves a tie ball game.
A bit of an interesting challenge there by Requiem. I know he was trying to obviously assist the last defender there. You can see Caveman Ben a bit awkward, but Requiem actually pinching that with Sprat into that upper right corner. So a bit of a miscommunication there, but for Team Eros, this is really good news. It means that they can press.
Yeah, I mean, it was a rough situation, I feel like, for Requiem right there with both Ben and Zayd committing to the previous attack. He had to do whatever he could and just didn't work out for him. This time, Eros able to tie this game back up. As we see a pass across the middle, Requiem available for it. Ben just gets out of the way for Requiem. Shot a torpedo, I would say, as it was low and fast. 120 kilometers per hour straight down the center. 2-1 lead for Mindfreak.
And that's just a classic, nice infield play, especially something that we see quite regularly in these lobbies. Caveman Ben having great awareness and probably good communication with Requiem there to get the pass on point. So a great start there.
Yeah, a fantastic little return goal for Mindfreak, who are looking to open up this series with a win. A chance right here for Caveman Ben. The net was open, but he couldn't make contact with the ball. Oh, that's one that's going to sting a little bit. All of Eros had pushed to the left side. The ball was there. They just couldn't make that contact.
It's just one of those things that you wish he had a little bit of boost. I just noticed Caveman Ben didn't have anything in the tank just to get a touch there to potentially steal away that third goal. But you're right, Team Eros a little bit out of position, and that could have been a good opportunity to break away.
As we see Ben, just a bit of a lobber right over to Sprat. Mock trying to play lead blocker, does enough disruption, and Sprat gets to drive it straight down the middle. It was a leisurely pace as well, as that makes it a tie ball game.
I love the way Sprat handled this. He was going for a low 50 because he knew that there was going to be a challenge coming very soon, but the way that Requiem approached that ball, it just allowed for that ball to sneak under, and then there was no defender. And that's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw this initial lineup of Eros 2, I was going to be expecting more plays like that. Traditionally, these, at least Mock and Cabo, have been very aggressive players. They like to really attack the ball and attack the goal. They're usually more confident on the attack, and they can be quite dynamic as well. That's my fancy way of saying this is a mechanical team when push comes to shove. Sprat should be a little sense of stability for them, and he's the one who slowed down that last goal, was able to drive it center thanks to Mock's bump. And now with the tie ball game, 1 minute 15 remaining. Starting to feel like this next goal could be the decider. Caveman Ben season opening and puts it in the perfect spot. 3-2 lead for Mindfreak.
The one thing I'm noticing early from these two teams is Team Eros really has to fight for their goals. We saw them a couple of times, have to go for a little bit of a cheeky outplay or go for a low 50 to get their ability to shoot, where Mindfreak just seem to have open nets at the moment. There's not really a defensive gap that they're showing, but for Team Eros, they're really leaving a lot of openings for Mindfreak to score.
And I think it becomes from the fact that Eros keeps trying to slow the pace down quite a bit, and as a result, they then start to give each other that space required. Like, they're spending a lot of time with the setup and not a lot of time executing. And then that last goal in particular, it kind of felt like Caveman Ben had just had enough of the setup and just ran forward and shot it in before Eros even knew what was going on. In theory, they should have never given up possession there, as they almost see a nice little jump off to Zayd. Sprat now connects with Mock, and well, I'm not sure that was intentional, but it did work out until Zayd, again, is sick of the setup and will score himself twice in a row. Mindfreak steal the ball away on the orange side of the field, and twice in a row they get a goal.
And again, it's these situations where the rotation is just a little bit off, they're a little bit caught unaware, and the net is left open, and that's where Mindfreak have been able to close the gap.
A 60-kilometer-per-hour goal on that one. So it wasn't the fastest shot. I mean, I am a firm believer if it's not over 100, it should not count. However, tell that to Mindfreak right now, because they're 2 goals up, and it's all up to Eros to see how they can respond. Sprat gets in behind the defense, throws the pass across. Cabo is there, and we have a 1-goal game with 15 seconds to spare.
That was a very nice play there by Sprat. Just slowed it down enough. You can see this first touch very, very gentle. So he was able to cut that angle and give Cabo an opportunity to score. Mindfreak just couldn't get back defensively to get the save. Very well executed.
Now with 15 seconds remaining, anything can happen. Kickoff goes relatively neutral. Cabo cuts off Ben, and Mock was there, but so too was Requiem. Will steal that away and make it that much harder for Eros. 5 seconds to go, an entire pitch to cover. Caveman Ben is pressing so deep. Sprat has to catch it in front of his own net and just sets up Zayd for the game ender. Mindfreak takes game number 1, 5-3.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard for Sprat to really do anything. He probably didn't have a huge amount of boost because the kickoff just happened, and you could see the way Caveman Ben was pressing. He had to get the ball up in the air just to give the opportunity to potentially move it across the field. So very good awareness coming from Mindfreak, and a great first win, but there were some loopholes. There were some things I'm a little bit worried about from Mindfreak, because it seems when Team Eros can perform mechanically, they are looking the better team.
Yeah, but it was when Mindfreak started to step forward and disrupt those setups that it does feel like that's where Eros really ran into those issues. You've got to be fast at this level of play, and Eros to me just felt like a slow team. Too many times, either Caveman Ben or Zayd were able to just cheat forward, steal that ball away, and put in a cheeky one, kind of while Team Eros was napping. Granted, that did only happen twice, but I would argue that's 2 times too many. 3 assists for 5 goals out of Mindfreak tells me they're the team that's kind of been stepping up with these individual plays. And if they continue to sort of outshine Eros in what should be more their specialty, that's going to be a bad sign for Eros moving forwards.
I agree. I think Eros definitely need to assess where their weaknesses are at the moment, because like you're correct, when they can move the ball forward and they have those outplays, they look really, really strong. But defensively, there's too many gaps, too many times, as you said, Caveman Ben, Zayd lurking outfield, waiting for a cheeky outfield pass, or even potentially just a bump, just to move the rotation out of way. It seems to have so much effect on them at the moment.
That it has done. We'll see how they can bounce it back, though, for game number 2 in this best of 5. So far, Mindfreak, they're out to a fast start, and they're looking for another one again. Sprat just does what he can to beat out Ben. It is Requiem, who actually has been playing a bit more third man today than I initially expected. Been working out for the team thus far. They're really letting Zayd cut loose and be more of an offensive threat, something which I haven't seen too much in recent months, but worked out in game number 1. Why not try it for game 2? Requiem off that backboard will look to dish it to a teammate. No one there to find, which means Ben will go up for it. Just Sprat on defense makes a relatively easy save.
That was a nice dunk there by Requiem. It gave the opportunity for Ben to go for the shot. I guess Team Eros not really prepared for Requiem to get those extra touches, but we do know that he is very mechanical and can put himself in a really good position most of the time. He goes for a shot here, but Mock will get saved.
Also, it should be worth noting, something that we didn't really tag on, Twitch chat seems to be in agreement with you, Jupiter. They lean quite heavily on Mindfreak in their predictions into this match. Normally that would make me want to be, you know, the negative naysayer and go like, yeah, I feel like Eros is going to take this, but I have the luxury of waiting one game before dropping my picks. I am also leaning towards Mindfreak coming in based on what we've seen in game one. However, we are seeing an Eros play much further up the field right now. Cabo's going to try and gap the defense. If Sprat had played a little further forward, they may have had something there. Instead, Mock is going to try and go for the 50 and lands right in Zade's waiting arm. The pass across the middle. Cabo does enough to disrupt, but Requiem still has possession of the ball. Sprat off that backboard will steal the setup away and actually gets over the top of Ben. It's a breakaway. Zade can't race back, and Sprat puts his team up ahead 1-0.
This is the same situation that we saw Team Eros in game one, where they just get that one touch past the last defender, the opposition not really aware that that block will come through and not covering that angle, and Sprat, like as you said, just manages to get past one, gets the goal, and puts Team Eros in a comfortable position.
Yeah, this time he did it without Mock as a lead blocker as well. Just a couple of missteps on the attacking half for Mindfreak opens up the door right there. It is a side effect to that more aggressive style we are seeing from them, as Requiem actually has a fair bit of space to work with. Sprat eventually cuts it off. Zade couldn't really find the block that they were looking for. Cabo now out of the goal. Mock just sort of sitting in the corner waiting for boost, which eventually does come. Always awkward when you see a car sitting still, but now Mock with the boost puts one on target. Requiem comes up big with the save.
Yeah, Team Eros looking a lot more comfortable game two compared to game one. They have definitely picked up the pace. We're seeing them challenge a lot faster, be a lot more confident with their touches, and even the hesitation has started to slow down as well. So it's paying dividends. Cabo, beautiful press coming from Team Eros, and Cabo will be rewarded with the goal.
Yeah, Zade had nowhere safe to go with that ball right there, with Cabo waiting in mid and two Eros members in that corner. Had to take a risk in where the ball typically should be safer, but in reality, that did just kind of set up Cabo to eventually play it through the middle. A sort of rough place to be in right there for the Mindfreak defense, as they're now down 0-2. Eros coming back in the second game looking very good, but so too is Zade. Where does Cabo come from? Well, the answer was the opposite corner. Either way, a huge save right there to keep Mindfreak down.
Yeah, that could have been a good turning point for Mindfreak, but they get another opportunity here. And again, what is happening with Eros at the moment? They cannot be broken defensively. I thought for sure, especially with Zade cheating up as third man, that would 100% been a goal there, but Eros just falling in the right spot to get the save.
I like the idea of Cabo right there going as a lead blocker. Unfortunately for Eros, Mock never left his box, so there was no chance to strike with that net being open. Ben now putting shots on target, yet this Eros defense has stepped up in this second game. They are keeping at least one defender in the box at any given moment in this second game, and it is paying dividends right now. Mindfreak just unable to find any points, and now Mock will continue to add to the lead. It's off the post and in 3-0 advantage for Eros.
You can see that the adjustments that Team Eros are making, even just mid-game, are having so much success, so much dividends, because they're now 3-0. They're shutting out this Mindfreak team, which did look very, very strong in the previous game. They got 5 goals to 3. They were very, very offensively mindset, and at the moment, they can't seem to put one in the back of the net.
And it hasn't been a case of them changing their mindset. Oh my gosh, Zade, that almost went in. Had Ben not rotated back, that could have been the longest own goal I have ever seen. Instead, it's an eventual setup for Sprat. 4-0 lead for Eros, and I'm starting to feel like, Jupiter, this game, this series, is a lot closer than we may have initially thought.
I mean, that's the reason why we didn't do predictions at the beginning, because we don't know what side of the coin we're going to get with both of these teams. They are so evenly matched, and as we can see, just in these 2 games that we've seen so far, it really depends on which team is pressing more or which team is having the better decisions at the time.
And at the moment, it's been Eros, and it's come from, you know, changing their stat. They're playing a lot further back. Their setups have been a lot quicker this time as well. Case in point, Cabo with that quick dish out to Mock. Sprat from the third man will press forward once more. And it's when Eros has started to take these risks offensively, we're seeing them get these quick goals. Under a minute remaining, 4-goal difference. It's a tough ask for Mindfreak to come back in this, so starting to look ahead towards Game 3. The Earnest is going to be back on Mindfreak, who I think need to play a little less far forward on the pitch moving forwards in this series. I mean, if the series will move forward, I suppose you don't need to on the field either way. This has been a great turnaround for the Eros side.
It is, and it's going to be a massive confidence boost and a shift in momentum for them. They'll definitely feel like what they're doing now is a lot more successful compared to what they were doing in Game 1, which is that forward press, leaving one player back just in case the long, awkward clear or the unexpected touch comes through, just to give you a safety net.
As we see a last chance for a goal right here, it will be shut down by the Eros defense. I mean, now is a good time to also bring up the fact that the last time these two teams did meet up in an RLCS environment, it was this Eros lineup that did get the victory. 3-1, I believe. This was back during our second spring regional during the group stages when this team had kind of just formed. We're going through a little bit of that honeymoon phase still. They had been picked up by a new organization, and they went on a very deep run. So perhaps channeling that once again, 600 points out of Sprat in our second game, who really, just sometimes drove it straight and wound up getting goals.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes the best plans are just to go for the goal. Like, don't have to do anything fancy. If you have a clear opportunity to move forward, then go for it. But I think you're right. I think Eros have a little bit more flexibility in their play style, especially with Sprat. Sprat has been a player that has, for the longest time, been known as a mechanical player, is known to pull something out of his hat and really show what he is made of in terms of his mechanical plays. So I'm definitely going to be looking forward to seeing more of him. But for Mindfreak, I think it's going to be the likes of, Caveman Ben having a little bit more confidence, feeling a little bit more at home on the field.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because, yes, Team Eros is typically a team of journeymen, but they have journeyed together in the past. Sprat and Cabo have played with each other for a very long time. These two players do know and understand each other quite well. Mock, sort of the newer member to this trio, however, is fitting in just fine, I would feel. Granted, we're not really seeing the same, I suppose, synergy between Mock just yet. It's there, don't get me wrong. It's the finite details, I suppose, of always knowing where a teammate is going to be at any given moment. And that's something that we can expect out of Cabo and Sprats working with each other. However, when you look at this Mindfreak team, I mean, you can almost say the same thing about Ben and Requiem at this stage. These two have been playing with each other for nearly almost an entire competitive year. It's quite insane, and Zayd has been around essentially since about February of 2021. This team very much in sync with each other. Both these teams have the ability to pull off some pretty crazy team plays, not something you're always used to when it comes to the OGE scene, and I'd like to see more passes come from each side as we do go into Game 3.
Well, that's what was so successful for Mindfreak in Game 1, was those infield passes where I think most of the time it was Requiem or Caveman Ben lurking in the middle, ready for that dish, and then they just went straight for the goal, put a shot on net, and make the defensive team work. And that's what seemed to have a lot more success, where in game number 2, they weren't getting those infield passes, they weren't getting the opportunities to set up the plays.
And I think a lot of that did come from Eros being more proactive on defense at times, as we see, once again, Mindfreak, they are acting as the aggressors. A lot of this game being played on the orange side of the field, both in games 1 and 2. However, it's been some of those quick counterattacks, which we're seeing right here. Cabo does find Mock, who puts a shot on from midfield. Ben has to save, already knows where Requiem is hiding, forcing Cabo back into the goal. There's the demo, net open. Mock is in position to shut it down and does just that. We'll look to try and play along the corridor. Requiem shuts it down, has Zayd across the field, needs to get that backward pass. Here comes Zayd, not quite, as Sprat steals it away, gets the perfect touch, and it's a 1-0 lead for Eros.
And it's that same situation. And this time, Caveman Ben, to his credit, was a little bit further back, but when you have Sprat, someone who's so quick to the ball, you need to be aware that that shot is going to come, especially on the counter-attack. And it's just a bit unfortunate that Mindfreak, again, just that little bit too far pressed and caught watching the ball.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit surprised, actually, they weren't able to make the read on that play. I mentioned it at the end of game 2. I do want to see Mindfreak play a little bit more reactively. Eros, they're a team that will drive it straight at you, as this time there were just too many offenders and not enough defense. Mock will eventually put it in.
You can see the idea Requiem had there. He was trying to go for the double into the corner. He knew that he had to buy some time for his teammates to get back because he was last. There was no opportunity for him to control that ball. Team Eros were approaching very, very quickly, but unfortunately just could not get the read he wanted and results in a goal. So Team Eros are riding a massive momentum wave at the moment.
Yeah, and for this Team Eros side as well, you have to remember, because this is a single round robin within the groups, you're playing 4 games today, and you need to finish in that top 4 if you want to advance. So you could think, 1 win and you might be in. Eros would love to get that out of the way early, especially against a Mindfreak side. Well, although they're not the same lineup that won the fall major, this is still that same org, and they've got 2 of those 3 players. Caveman Ben puts it on target. Sprat's in position for the save.
And that's the benefit with a round robin, is you do have the opportunity to pull it back if you do manage to drop the first game. But as the pressure starts to mount, it does get harder and harder, as we have Caveman Ben finally getting a goal. It was about 8 or 9 minutes before their last goal, so it's good to get one on the board.
And it's done in a very similar fashion to the way how we saw them win game 1. Wait for the slow setup out of Eros, press forward, and punish. That's been Mindfreak's game plan, I feel like, since the word go. And for the past 8-9 minutes, it hasn't been working out for them, actually. Eros has been a bit more in control. However, that time, a little bit too slow, and Mindfreak still hungry to try and put those goals in. Speaking of putting goals in, Sprat had the demo. That forces Requiem from behind. Mock doesn't get the spike, but Zayd did come in. Is able to recover straight down the center, gets the touch over Cabo, and we got a tie ball game.
Great nerve control here from Zayd. He could have sprayed this ball away. He could have given away possession, especially considering that he was initially just trying to go for the block. But he kept his nerve, he was cool, calm, and collected, and he popped it over into the goal, equalizing the score exactly on the halfway mark.
Yeah, that's actually kind of perfect, mid-game. Mid-series, game 3 of the series, 2-2, 2:30 in. I mean, you can't get more even than that, Jupiter. It is perfection.
Or even more perfect is the fact that they are currently 1 apiece in the scoreline as well, so everything just mirroring.
Yeah. It's almost as if we could have cut this series in half and just started from this point moving forward. Speaking of which, another breakaway goal for the side of Eros. This time it goes to Cabo.
I think this is now maybe the 4th or 5th goal we've seen where defensively the team has been pushed up. They're expecting the ball to be contained in one half of the field, and it manages to pinch out or get an awkward touch straight into the net. This time it was credited to Cabo. I think there needs to be a reassess of how these players are positioning themselves.
Yeah, it's very concerning, especially considering these are going straight down the middle of the pitch as well. It's not even a case of, sneaking along the side. There's just been no mid control for the side of Mindfreak, I feel like, for the past game and a half. Although, Caveman Ben nearly makes something happen right there. Cabo's touch was red. Ben just unable to control it for a shot on target. Requiem will take over with that. Is a very scary look. Zayd had an open net, but had no boost to punish right away. Mock now will try to play the corridors. Thrown back to the middle. Zayd has to put it up high. Requiem goes up for it. Doesn't have the boost to get it, but Ben does. Shot. Target saved by Mock.
I like the way Zayd cut there. He kept the pressure on for Mindfreak, and it's allowing them now to have a few more opportunities on offense. I think the thing that they need to be wary of is, again, just that long clear that Team Eros have been using to clear that pressure. They don't want to be caught out for a 3rd time in this game.
No, they do not. And I mean, another catch out like that probably will involve, Eros going to match point. Mock trying to do just that. Throws it back over to Sprat, but not enough power behind that pass means it will be stolen away by Mindfreak. Meatball in the air. Who's hungry? Cabo is. He hasn't had breakfast yet. He's looking to feast now. Only gets it to Caveman Ben. As Sprat will play from the corner. Ben tries to find Requiem underneath. Puts it too far in front of him, so Requiem has to slow play it. Goes for the shot on the wall. There is power there, but no accuracy. Now it will be Zayd's turn. Ball waterfalls down. Ben in position, but 3 defenders get in his way. 30 seconds to go. Eros just trying to hold on.
But you can see the desperation now starting to creep in for Mindfreak. They know how much this game could potentially sway in their favor if they can secure it. There's only 17 seconds on the clock and they need to make something happen, but Sprat's put the ball in the wrong direction. The pressure's now going to be on Eros and Mindfreak. Can they set something up quickly with the last 8 seconds? It looks like Cobo's done enough, but potentially there could be an opportunity to keep this ball up.
Yeah, they're going for it again. It's an awkward play from Requiem. Mock steals it away from Ben. And Team Eros, they advance to match point, taking the lead in the series 2-1.
What a last minute of the game 3. It started to really heat up. You could see the desperation. You could see the panic come through. They were desperate for the goal, Mindfreak, and they could press really, really hard, but it just seemed Team Eros made all the right choices at the right time. Definitely a closer match, probably the closest match we've seen so far in this series, and is going to be a definite prerequisite to what's to come.
Yeah, but how telling is it that the entire game, I'd say 75% of it almost felt like it was played on the orange side of the field. Yet, when you compare the shots taken, 5 from Mindfreak, 10 from Eros. Time and time again, Mindfreak would set themselves up, look to press forward, keep that ball on the orange side of the field, but then Eros would find gaps in the offense, usually down the center, and just put shots on target from their own side of the field and kind of push Mindfreak back, or at times, drive it straight through and score. It's a very unusual game number 3. Statistically, it made sense obviously when we were watching it though, and as we do come into this 4th game, I think Mindfreak, they need to go back to game 1 where they were giving Eros that space almost. That's where they found their most success, and although it's tempting to press forward and try to intercept these slow setups, this strategy just has not been working.
Well, I mean, statistics never lie, but the thing to kind of draw away from that game was, yes, the ball did stay in the orange side of the field, but that meant that a lot of the possession that Mindfreak were having was not dangerous possession. And that is really reflecting in the scoreline. And we can see now the possession, the way the play is unfolding here for Eros just seems to be so much more clear-cut, so much more structured, and they're having the more success from it.
I mean, that entire play, the only Mindfreak member who really made a conceded defensive effort in front of the net was Requiem, and considering there was like 2 or 3 shots coming out of the Eros side, only so much Requiem can do, and I feel like that's almost been a theme of this game. Time and time again, Requiem has been put in these awkward spots from Mindfreak where he can only do so much, as once again, Requiem has to kind of clean up his own mistake right there. That was a very scary defensive touch. Did get the ball to the corner eventually. Zayd now will try to clear it through. Requiem sets up with the demo combo, the only one on defense. Zayd tries to get it behind. Can't quite get that angle. And we still sit at a 1-0 lead in favor of the Eros side. Sprat again needs to try and get some distance behind this. Ben puts up that meatball. Here comes Zayd. Cabo gets there first.
But Cabo still manages to get the ball forward, even though Zayd was challenging the ball. And Eros just being in the right place at the right time now. Cabo going to go for the infield pass. Sprat is there. What a bullet that has come out of Sprat in the infield pass, and they have 2 on the board right now.
I don't know what I like more about this goal. Sprat shot or Mock just parking himself in front of the net to watch that one sail overhead. Even if that had been posted, it looked like Eros was ready and not a Mindfreak defender in sight when this goal comes through. I mean, something has got to change on this Mindfreak team. They're so offensively focused right now that they're never back in time to stop these Eros attacks. And considering at the start of this series, we did establish Eros, a team very comfortable attacking that net. This is not a good look from Mindfreak moving forwards.
It isn't, and the key word that I actually drew away from there was comfort. Mindfreak at the moment do not look comfortable, where Eros, it looks like they're just playing in their own minds. They know exactly what they want to do. Their confidence is sky high at the moment, and it's being reflected in their gameplay. You can see every challenge they make is thought out. They know exactly where their teammate's going to be. We almost just saw Cobo again dishing it up, this time to Mock for the goal, but it's just those opportunities that are actually coming through for Team Eros.
Ooh, that almost looked like, a situation reverse right there. A bit more power behind Requiem's touch, and that could have been a goal for Mindfreak. Instead, it is Mock looking to tap it in. A little bit of a fake up right there. Zayd does have the read, but now Sprat's trying to connect onto Cabo. Doesn't get the ball to the backboard before Ben steals it away. No one cheated forward, though, so Requiem won't be able to beat Mock to it. Challenge in midair, once again, won by Sprat. Zayd forced back on defense, despite Mock going for that block. I have to admit, Sprat has been phenomenal this series, and he comes up big with the save Zayd from putting one on the board.
Zayd trying to go for that low 50 just to force it into the net, but it quickly gets on the counter-attack for Team Eros. Cobo beating out Requiem there, putting Zayd in a very uncomfortable position, but he does have support from Caveman Ben. Requiem gets a demo there, but the ball's still going on the blue side of the field, so they need to work it out. Caveman Ben, nice catch there on the edge dribble, gets it past another. Cobo's in an awkward position, but still manages to save.
Yeah, another clutch save as we are playing back and forth once more. Mindfreak definitely playing a more defensive game this time. You can see they're playing a lot further back finally. They're looking for these passes to the midfield. But Eros, unlike in game number 1, they're pressing forward a lot quicker as well. And they're getting a lot of these intercepts before Mindfreak can set themselves up. Almost as if Eros was kind of prepared for this stylistic change. And again, this is not something I was necessarily expecting from this team, but the adaptability has been coming through in spades for Eros. They did beat Mindfreak, as I mentioned before, last time these two teams played, and we're getting another similar sense as to why. Shot off that backboard, the ball rolls in front of the net, but Requiem was too far back to punish, and once more it is Eros on the attack.
I think just looking at how Mindfreak are playing, we just saw Zaid and Caveman Ben double committing to a shot there. You can see the panic coming through. Obviously, there's a bit of miscommunication coming through, and they're honestly, in my opinion, just throwing themselves at the ball to hope that something comes through. But Team Eros are just way too calm, cool, and collected. They're playing very sensible, and they're not allowing for those cheeky opportunities to be exploited. They're making sure someone's on defense at all times, and it's working out.
It's working out, although Sprat just missed a pretty relatively easy touch, and nearly Ben was there for that punish. Mindfreak, they're desperate to find those opportunities with only 42 seconds remaining. Match point again for Eros. They win this. They get their one win, which could secure them into that top 8. That would be massive for this squad. Cabo seals it away midfield. Mock looking to press forward. Instead, Zed takes it off him. 30 seconds remaining. 2 goals required, although Zayd's about to make it 1, or is he? Mock at the last second comes up big once again.
Oh, nice dunk there from Caveman Ben. 0 boost. That's going to be an opportunity, and they finally get a goal again. It was a hard-fought position. They finally get one on the board after 4 minutes of gameplay, and they give themselves a hint of a hope to bring this back to an equal series scoreline. They had 17 seconds just to get it to overtime, just to give themselves an opportunity to not lose this series.
15 seconds to go, and it is Mindfreak on the attack. They had Zayd, but he can't make contact with the ball. The net was open, but no contact means no hope. Eros gets away with one, and now ball on the blue side of the field. Last chance for Mindfreak. Zayd doesn't win the 50 against Cabo. Ben does get underneath, but here comes Sprat. Tries to find the dunk, instead puts it up in the air. Ball sails to the middle. Cabo puts it down, and Team Eros get the win over Mindfreak 3-1.
That would have been a huge turning moment for Mindfreak if Zayd managed to get the angle. If he put it in the back of the net, we could have been in a position where Mindfreak had a massive momentum swing. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to see if he had any boost. It was off the kickoff, so it is pretty likely that he didn't have enough in the tank just to get there in time, which is very, very unfortunate. But from Team Eros, great bounce back, great resilience as well, because they went down pretty heavy in the first match, 5-3, and they came back in a massive way in getting the next 3 games in a row.
Yeah, the resiliency from Eros was not something I came into this series necessarily expecting. If any team would be making that comeback, I would have put my money on Mindfreak. Definitely a promising side, but again, you know, for these 3 members, these 3 journeymen, they've been here, they've done that. Different names, different banners. At the end of the day, Rocket League, it's still the same. And, you know, this is a massive win. Again, Cabo and Sprat, it's always good to see these guys sort of mixing it up with the best of OCE, showing up what they have to offer. And for Sprat, his performance in this series, I think, is something to take note of, because if Sprat is playing at this level mechanically, some of those saves were key. He was the one getting the best defensive passes, and when, you know, blocked in front of him, Mock playing that demo game quite well, Sprat was able to just drive that ball straight down the middle of the field time again and keep putting, you know, Team Eros out in front.
Exactly. We even saw one situation where if we draw back to that goal from Sprat, where it was a beautiful infield pass by Cabo, where was Mock? He was ready for that demo. He knew exactly what his role was in that play. Even though the net was open, Mock was ready to be a bit of a nuisance to Mindfreak. So they do have a pretty solid team structure that they're focusing on, and it did work out really strongly for them. And as you saw from obviously having them in the last series where they did verse Mindfreak 3-1, they do repeat that again in a really key and clinical point in this round robin tournament.
Yeah, it was a big start for them and a big start for this event as a whole. However, it's only the beginning, Jupiter. We got still 5 more games to get through. Coming up next, it is not going to be Mindfreak versus Eros. We just saw that. No. Our actual next game, I believe it is going to be... I'm just going to channel my inner memory, all right? We're going back. Going deep in the brain. That's right, it's Camera Havoc versus Renegade. See, I mind-powered the graphic up. That is going to be our next matchup. It's going to be a fun one, an old rivalry, if you will. So please stay with us. More of this RLCS Major when we return.